Hi, this is Eli Tom Elamine, Breatharian. Now, Breatharian means, it comes from an ancient word, anidia, which is the ancient word for fasting. And it means to eat very little or none at all. But now we're going to take it a step further. As I've been teaching these Breatharian teachings, as it's coming back on the scene to humanity, they're looking at their current medical profession saying, how does this fit in? Tell us more. Is this true? Can a human being really have the potential to live with very little food or none at all? And I'm telling you that this knowledge has been here for a very long time. It's just re-resurrected itself. Now let's make it plain. Yoga is a term that everybody is used to. However, just like anything else, it's been watered down and dumbed down. Let's take the term Kriya Yoga. Now, Kriya Yoga has 7 different levels to it. And do you know about the 3rd or 4th level in Kriya Yoga? You will have the ability not to be hungry or not to be thirsty anymore. In other words, that's the level of food freedom where you have mastered food. In all the arts, the spiritual arts, it all has a level of different degrees for a practitioner where they will actually get to a level where they have opened up their energy channels, because that's what all of them are designed for. And when you open up these energy channels, you will not feel hunger and you will get past the level of thirst. Now, the reason why it's designed like this, because when you're dealing with the spiritual game, I'm not talking about just a belief system just because you're into something. I'm talking about a person who is really developing themselves to purge themselves, purify themselves, and transform themselves. So when you're dealing with breatharianism, it is basically in all the spiritual practices, and it's at a certain level and degree, because you're not even in the spiritual game until you get to that level. See, your intestine is connected to your mind. We're like a packet of hormones that is walking around, and we're led by energy and chemicals. You can say hi. I'm here in India, matter of fact, doing the video out in the park. So, in order to purify your mind, because everything is consciousness, it's more than just in our makeup of our head. It's our body is an extension of our mind. In the external universe, we are connected to it. So when you're on a spiritual path to get into the more advanced levels, you must get past the levels of food freedom. Not saying you have to stay permanent like that, you understand, but to really go deeper into the recesses of your mind. Is this making sense? So this is the true spiritual path that is making its way back into the scene. And yes, like longevity is in the package, and also immortality itself as we move on. So today we're going to talk about Breatharian Dharma and blessings. So just hang with me as we go further into food freedom. This is such a wonderful day in a beautiful park out here. Of not feeling thirsty and not feeling hunger. And this is in different degrees of yoga. You have to understand there's a thing called siddhi powers. That's when a practitioner, when they're into a practice, over a period of time as they're developing themselves, there's different powers that we call them that comes forth. So about the 3rd or 4th level, like I gave you the example of Kriya Yoga, that power will come forth. Now keep in mind it's a minor siddhi power. There's other powers to come after that. But the purification of the body and the mind is very, very important as you go on to this journey. So again, this isn't far-fetched, it's just that being in the Western knowledge, we've been used to materialism. Of course, families in the past have gotten used to having food to get out of poverty, and now we have overdone it because we got a thing called preventable diseases. And it could have been prevented, but that shows you that people have lost the ability of how to eat. If you're going to eat, at least learn how to eat. So now we're starting all over again on that. So breatharianism, we're taking all the myth out of it, living on prana. Believe me, this exists, and it's in the practices. Now let's take Qigong, for instance, which is a Chinese word which means which means energy exercise. Now, Qigong is the yoga of Chinese culture, you might as well say it. I'm using that word Chinese culture, but all ancient cultures dealt with energy work. So therefore, when we look at the word yoga, just don't think about stretching and stuff like this in different positions. All meditations is a form of energy work or energy exercises. So when you get into this, the goal of all meditations is to purge the body and the mind. So again, when you stay into this system, that's why people get offended sometimes, but they listen to what I'm saying. I said, you really don't know how to meditate if you're sitting there sick. There's no way in the world you should be sick if you're meditating and allowing these energy centers to open themselves up by their nature. And every retreat. So now you're learning how important it is to have a clean body and a clean mind dealing on the spiritual path. The old way humanity been doing things, eating anything, having all these different habits, but claiming to really be connected to the higher spiritual forces, not at all. But that's the game we've been playing with ourselves, but nobody knew the way on how to break forth that lower frequency vibration that caused pain and suffering. But now, since this is all coming back, we can do our revolution of both the body and the mind and get things back on track like how it used to be as we come out with these new formulas. And this is a great age that we're in, especially to somebody to tell you, yes, within these practices, by staying in these, you will grab these siddhi powers that will come along by its nature. And the main one or the minor one is eating very little or none at all. So yes, the whole medical profession and everything else will be changed here shortly as we go into our deeper levels, because keep in mind that humanity is always evolving. We're always changing. Knowledge is always updating itself, and everybody don't get knowledge at the same time. So always keep that in mind. Even this cell phone and the internet, it's been here decades before it even came to the public. So again, this knowledge has always been here into little pockets of the world, to different groups. Now it's just, and yes, it's a shocker for those who got educated by the system, you know, about what's vitamins, what's minerals, what's saturated fats, carbohydrates, and then now you hear this come along, going straight to the point that we're energy beings with electrical systems, and through the foundation of meditation and these spiritual practices, it will actually alter the physical body and the mind, where you'll be able to get your nourishment from other sources. Because keep in mind, we've been taught that nourishment only comes through the mouth. But you have other senses that's also connected to this realm that is also bringing in nourishment, bringing in energy, and it is also where packets of chemicals, constantly giving off chemicals in a process called synthesis, just like plants. Not similar, but we do the same thing also dealing with human photosynthesis. Now, as we go further, we're going to talk about Dharma now. Now, Dharma has many meanings. And Dharma is usually a word that's used in the Indian cultures dealing with Hinduism, Buddhism, and so forth. But also, it's a word that's used by many cultures because it deals with universal laws. Again, all cultures, no matter what it is, even your modern day religion, all talks about purification, transformation, no matter what level that we're in and where we're at. So we're all on the same track. So that word Dharma, again, deals with universal laws, but it deals with a duty. It deals with a function. It deals with responsibility. And when you take on these duties, to give you an example, it's sort of like you become a husband. And it is your duty to be this good husband. You want to be your best and put your best foot forward. Same with a student. It is your dharma to be a good student. And there's universal laws or laws on how to function to be a good student. And we as humanity, through trial and error through our past, has learned that it's better for cooperation, whether if it's on an individual level, dealing in an intimate relationship, or dealing collectively on a world level, that if we cooperate with one another, this can be a paradise and everybody's life can be highlighted and go all the way to another level. And it's again deals with rules, laws, and functions of how things should be. So when you're dealing with Dharma, even though it's just a word, it's a phrase dealing with working on the deeper recesses of the mind again. And like we said before, your mind is just more than it's in your head. Your body's an extension to your mind, and this external universe is an extension of your mind. Your mind goes way beyond what you think it does. And you're purging everything so you can live a more glorious life. And it's something when I say that we're living in heaven. Look how beautiful this place is. This is heaven. And all my needs are met because guess what? I don't eat or drink. I have that ability because I'm in the practice and I just mastered the Sihi power and I'm just sharing it with everybody else. So again, it's one thing to hear somebody say something, but when I say I could show you to do the same thing, I'm just educating you, bringing you into the practices, and the only way you're going to find out if something really exists, guess what? Is to get into the first phase experience to do it yourself. This is what you call pure human potential. Now, of course, when we talk about breatharianism, if you leave food alone altogether, your body is not ready for it. That's why this is a process and you must get into the practices. See, it's sort of like, let's look at development. When you were born, first you was, this conception took place, you was this fetus, you went through so many stages, you came out the womb, but even then you were not complete. You went through a baby stage, you went through a toddler, you went through a teenager, and even a young adult that's 20 and 21, their brain ain't even fully developed yet until about 25. But even then, you're still not done with your development. You understand. We of humanity has cut out that other part where we basically gave up and said, well, I guess I'll work. And then pretty soon, once I get in my 40s, 50s, different sicknesses, illnesses, diseases, I guess they're supposed to happen, and our development is over. That's not how it works. You're not fully developed yet. So when these practices really attract people, usually about in your 40s and your 50s. And they say about your 40s and 50s is usually, and I'm just saying for a male, that's usually their most trying time because you have a time where you could go back out and play that game with an illusion again. You get married, you get a house, you start a new family, especially if you messed up the first time. You want to make up these things, or you should go to the spiritual path. So that's usually a big trying time. But at the same time, that's a time when you can really grab these packages, grab these sexual energies that's in us, grab the energy of your heart chakra, grab the energy of opening up your third eye. That's why you'll see the serpent coming up. This stuff does exist. You can really cultivate yourself and transform yourself, purge your body and your mind. Your health will get back online, your sexual energy will get back online, and guess what? The urge to eat or drink will be gone from you. Again, it'll just be by choice, it'll just be by pleasure if you choose to, but this exists and this is all we're giving people. So again, your Dharma, it's a word, it's a concept, it's a duty to where you can really start working on yourself at a deeper level because they say your Dharma is connected to yourself. Let's look at this for instance. Let's take your mind. Your mind is pure. It might not seem like it, but this consciousness that we share is sort of like a clear sky. And this clear sky, every once in a while get clouds going over it. That's our thought process. And as it get these clouds going across it, energy loves to move. It's just an energy. Pretty soon the clouds will go past. But some people who's living more chaotic lives, you could say that there's dark clouds that's there. But even so, there's dark clouds, there's storming and thunder, and it's not going to last forever. Pretty soon they will pass if you allow the energy to run. When you understand, and again, this is such a beautiful, wonderful place. This is India again, and I'm in Bangalore. Looking at the beautiful park, the gardens. But again, your Dharma, talking about your duty, the concept, working with universal laws. So being on the breatharian path in a nutshell, when people come into it, the first thing they want to do is stop eating. And they don't have no success. I'm going to tell you the straight up truth. They are unsuccessful going on to that level. What you have to do, you bring more light into the body through being a nice person, through maintaining universal laws, for understanding set times and cycles. That's what brings more light into the body. The physical aspect of food is just a little portion of it. That is a byproduct of you being in a process of purging yourself mentally. It's all mental. See, the more you purge your physical body, yes, it does purge the mind. But the more you purge your mind, it purges the physical body. So you have to understand it. So in a nutshell, guess what? Be a nice person. Be a wonderful person. Be the best human being you can be on all levels. That's Dharma. You understand? It's cooperation, because if your mind, due to its true nature, is like the clear sky of pure consciousness and the light is in you, you want that light to shine forth on all levels. So again, this is it right here. And the more you practice this, it won't become a practice no more. It will become your identity. You are the light of the world. And of course, that's when the external forces will honor you and sustain you, because you are a self-sustaining being by your nature. But now it's time to stand up to the bat and function on that type of level. Have a nice day, and I hope you got a lot out of this. Breatharian Dharma and blessings. What is a blessing? You bless yourself, because things will go your way when you are a tuned instrument with nature and the universe.